Hello, Globebusters. Yes, of course they're serious. You do? You have? No kidding. Uh-huh. Oh, they'll cure your globitis this week. Thank you. We got one!
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's the Globebusters.
What are you supposed to be, some kind of a cosmonaut?
No, we're exterminators.
and now, here's your host.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters, Flat Earth, So Many Proofs. I'm your host, Bob Xanadude60, and we are back after taking a week or so off to get some of my stuff done. And of course, the crew is, I think, preparing for the upcoming season, and we got lots of stuff on our plate to kind of deal with. So and this is usually the kind of slow time of the year that, we kind of spread out the shows a little bit. And we may be doing that for at least, 1 or 2 weeks over the next couple of months. But no worries. We're not going to go anywhere permanently. Just got to take care of other business, as you know. So today, guys, I have actually a whole lot of things to talk about. And, some of those have to deal with some of the crazy show calling that's going on in Flat Earth. And, I want to say a few words about that. I definitely don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want to just kind of throw my opinion out there on it. I also want to cover some interesting new news tidbits that have come forward. And also we have some interesting clips that were submitted to us from Robert Bassano, who is one of our mods in the chat. And Robert, this is some really good stuff. I'm going to show everybody the satellite one for sure. That's absolutely crazy. But so all kinds of nifty stuff to cover. And before we do that, though, let's go ahead and introduce the crew, which we are one short of right now, but Austin says he is on his way. So we will probably introduce him last when he gets here. But first up, as always, is Jeran from Jeranism. How you doing today, Jeran?
Fantastic, Bob. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. So
this is live. I don't know how we can maybe do a better job of letting people know right from the start, like the date maybe, because I see people say that all the time. They never can tell if the show's live or not. So it is November the 21st, 2021. So if that's the date for you, then yes, we are live.
Well, pretty much from on this channel, if it's on YouTube, it's definitely going to be live. And of course, then we have the different schemes of play cards, the thumbnails that Cami puts up, showing live from, old shows and stuff like that. I will not put up any old shows any longer on the YouTube channel. And the reason I won't is because YouTube screws me every single time I do that. Even if it's our own stuff, guys, they will say, oh, well, it's reused material and you're using other people's stuff. And so we're going to demonetize you. Right. And I'm already dealing with enough bullshit from YouTube. In fact, a lot of you guys are probably aware that the Globebusters 24/7 channel has been down for exactly a week now. And so it had its first strike, and it was, they didn't say what it was for. They said it was a community guideline strike based on somebody else's material that I use, but they didn't tell me whose material it was that I used. They gave no specific information whatsoever. And then it said, well, as a result of that, you won't be able to live stream on the channel for 1 week. Right, great, because it's the first strike on there. Well, that's all fine and dandy, except you go there and it says that it is on strike until November sometime, or February sometime. So basically, they put the Globebusters 24/7 to not be able to do anything for 3 months, right? On a community guideline strike, which they didn't even identify. So, obviously YouTube strikes again, right? So anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and move forward. Next up, we have Iru Landucci from Nur para Todos. How you doing today, Iru?
Hello, Bob. Hello, everyone. Doing fantastic and waiting for the Robert Bassano. Every time that I heard, I know there is something coming from him. Is good news.
Yeah, I agree. We probably need to have him on the show again one of these days, because he's actually not too far from me these days. I think he's up in North Carolina somewhere, but he's working on some projects up there, and I think it'd be really cool if we could get some of his stuff, because his work in the past has been absolutely fantastic, and you gotta love his motto. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove, and he certainly does manage to dig out a lot of documentation for stuff. He's really good at it, and it's really amazing. So I think we definitely need to have him on one of these days for a show.
Yeah. He needs to get back to some phone calls at NASA.
Yeah, for sure. NASA phone calls rock. They're awesome. All right. Next up, we have John TheMorgile. How you doing today, John?
Hello. Hey, guys. Doing well. Hope y'all are well. Happy Sunday to you.
Excellent. Yep, we are doing well, and happy Sunday to you also. And what do you think about being back in the Kakalakis?
Yeah, it's nice to be back on the East Coast, man. We were too far away from any oceans for a very long time, so yeah, it's nice to be back towards the coast for sure.
Yep, yeah, it's only a couple hours from here, which is kind of nice. So, we went to the East Coast, all the way to the East Coast, not Myrtle Beach, but the one just north of it, the island, whatever that
Carolina Beach. Oh,
whatever the island is that's right by Myrtle Beach. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, we went there. It was awesome. I mean, absolutely beautiful. So, so far I really like it here. I could do without the, there are some summer days that the humidity is intense, but other than that, it's pretty nice here.
Yeah, don't go to Florida then.
Yeah. I don't think I would like Florida. I mean, I've been in Florida a few times, and it's pretty and everything, very tropical, but there are politics down there, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff. And you always have, every time something bad happens, it's always a Florida man that does it, right? You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. So, okay, so Austin still is not here yet, so we will wait for him to get here. All right, so Jeran, what we will do is, you guys probably knew the last show that we did was with Corey Kell, and Corey Kell came on, and I have to tell you that he reached about, I don't know, maybe a third of the audience. That may even be generous, but it was very confusing because he was kind of talking in a whole different language. And if you guys remember at the time, I said, I think he's talking in this gunner's mate type of talk, where they know their jargon and all these frames of reference. And that's why I decided to call Master Sergeant or Master Gunner Brian Burton, which is the guy that Mark Sargent has had on several times. And I asked him, I go, so do you understand what he's saying? He goes, oh yeah, absolutely. It makes perfect sense. So I kind of figured out at the time that it's, it was more of a jargon type of thing, and it's weird. But when you're a lifer in the military, I mean, everything is different. You do everything by their jargon, their abbreviations. It's crazy. Fortunately, when I was only in for 4 years. So I did not get fully indoctrinated to that, thank God. But so anyway, when we had so many comments, we did have a bunch of comments that come in, and it's still, pretty being hotly debated. Interestingly enough, as far as I know, the only person in FE Core that is kind of still rejecting it is Dr. Zack. And I may be wrong on that. Karen, you can tell me if you've heard any more on that, but He seems to think that it's not working. However, everybody else is saying that it is. I've gotten several emails that said that that does work. And then when we had when Jeran had Corey on his show, last week sometime, they actually drew it out in CAD and kind of stepped through it. And what do you think about it? Kind of tell everybody about what happened with that, Jeran.
Well, it started with this guy Cameron reached out to me on Telegram and was just asking me if I completely understood it. And I said, not really, iffy. And same thing with Curious Jay. Curious Jay called me and wanted to discuss it. And Curious Jay kind of got me to see it a little bit clearer. And then Cameron made a video that kind of made a lot of sense to me. And then we just reached out to Corey to see if he would come on and kind of double check our work and see if we were understanding it. And we kind of weren't even then. I think I described it well. I said if Corey was sitting across from the table and asked me to pass the salt, I probably wouldn't understand what he said. It just seems like whatever he's trying to say, I can't quite grasp sometimes. So we just did a show where we kind of walked through it, and then it all started to make sense. And I think if you go to that video, the end where I put a person in a chair at the top of a ball and rotate that ball, the 3 hours. I think that's probably the best way of getting people to see what he's saying, and how if you do that, then the sun cannot be above 45 degrees in the sky.
Yeah, I actually sent that video to several people that were having questions, and they said, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense." And they referred specifically to that segment. And so yeah, I mean, I see it. I'm not exactly sure what Zack's objection is, but he's kind of our FE Core guy that does AutoCAD, and he's really good at AutoCAD, and he's really good at geometry. And I don't know, I'd almost like to get those two together and see if they can't get this, shaken out, because if we can get this, presented in such a way where it's not, so locked down to all the jargon that's being used, and, it's kind of put more or less in English terms, I think that this is a really, really super strong proof for, flat Earth. Well, actually not for flat Earth. Let's just say it's against globe Earth, because it was never meant to prove flat Earth, but it was intended to disprove globe Earth. And it does that quite well, I think. So.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing we haven't done yet, or I haven't done yet, is actually observe it.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got, steps on how to do that. Maybe we can do that, sometime, in the upcoming weeks or something like that. We can actually go through it and do those steps. And, but I think it would be better, obviously, if we get to somebody to CAD it out, and maybe have Zack do a video on it, after he kind of gets together with Corey, and, either makes this, we get a consensus on it or we don't. But, I mean, obviously I have a lot of faith in Zack's ability. And, I'm a little hesitant to say it's an absolute sure thing until I've got his kind of seal of approval on it. But that's just my respect for Zack, and, how much I know that he understands geometry and the CAD. So, but I still think that it probably comes down to something that's in the jargon that he's not getting. And we'll see if we can't get that cleared up for him.
Yeah, that'd be good. And I think right now it would be people in the South would be the best bet to do that. And then for us would be probably better as we near June of next year. Yeah,
I totally agree. So very cool. So, all right. So let's go ahead and put that away then. And we will let you know when we decide to put something together on that, because I think it would be really good. Once we get an ironclad explanation, we'll put it out, and then we'll actually start calling on people to do this experimentation, because building the jig itself is really simple. And I think doing the experiment's pretty simple too. And if we do this in all bunch of places all around the plane, then I think we're going to have some really great answers. So let's see how that works out. Does everybody in the
chat does it make sense now to people? Do they kind of get it?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? Did you guys, is it
I could bring up that picture again if I need to.
Yeah, that might, that might not be a bad idea, Jeran. Just in case.
Yes, I'll bring it up. let me make a couple different colors here.
Okay.
And just so we can, let me see, we'll go pink, and then I'll do a 45.
Because I sure don't get it. I have no idea what the point of all that was, or really, like,
Sure.
how could you explain it in a couple of sentences to a child so that they could understand it?
Yeah,
I might get it. I don't know.
See if it makes sense with such a. I'll kind of do like a very easy example here. Just do one other color, like blue, and we'll do 45 degrees from there. Okay, and this is kind of rough. Let me share my screen. Where's Skype? And more. Share screen. Which one is it? Okay, this one I think should start sharing. All right, tell me if you can see this little drawing here.
We
Yes,
see the
yes.
drawing.
Okay, so I'll just kind of talk to John first. So John, if we're on the ball Earth and this is a little guy sitting in a chair, the sun would be at 90 degrees, right, at noon.
Unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything just yet. Do I need to click on you, or what do I need to do?
Yeah, maybe on Skype if you click my name.
Yeah, you have
It's
to
not
see him on
doing
Skype.
anything. I'm not seeing anything. Then again, it might be this phone. I've got a new phone, and it's just a piece.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'll keep explaining, and then you can look back at the YouTube feed. It should be on there. So, basically, we know that in their model that the sun remains fixed, right? So we don't have to worry about the sun moving. We're just going to worry about the Earth spinning. And we know that if this is at 12, at 12 o'clock, we're just saying. But if we wait 3 hours, and we know that the Earth is going to spin this way, that if we waited 6 hours, we'd be here, right? So 6, 6, 6, and 6 to give us our 24-hour circle. So we know that 3 hours is that little notch there, right? So what he's saying is that if we rotate the Earth that 3 hours, so I'm just going to grab this whole box here. I didn't want to grab part of the sun. There we go. So if we take this whole box here, and now I'm just going to spin it, right? Because this is ultimately what is happening. Well, that's not even a good view at that. Let me see if we can make it more of a circle. Let's see if we go like this. See if that kind of spins it a little bit better. So that's not very good spinning of it. But if you kind of picture when this guy in his chair is now at this location, then that pink line, the pink dotted line would be here, right? That would be his 90. And the green line, which is basically his eyesight, his horizon is going to be, oops, sorry, that shouldn't go that way. Should be here, kind of something like that. And then the 45 degree, this blue line would have migrated up, and it should be pointed directly at the sun. Which, right, this is a right, it's not perfect. This should be a right triangle, and then this should be the 45 degrees. What he's saying is he's noticing that when you do rotate to this spot, that the sun is still located higher in the sky than the 45 degrees, which would be impossible. How could it be any higher in the sky than 45? It should be 45 at the maximum, correct?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Can't be any higher than that.
John, or I don't know if John caught that, but yeah, so that's basically what he's saying, and it comes down to simply observing it. And I think it was described, perfectly. If you think of a flat Earth, if this is our flat Earth here, and you've got a person who's in that same kind of chair kind of situation, well, it doesn't matter when it's a flat Earth where the sun is. Meaning, if this person waits hours and hours and hours, well, the sun is just going across the sky this way, right? So this person could see the sun at 90 degrees. He could see it at 45. You could see it at 35. You could see it at 25. You could see it at 0. Doesn't matter. Flat Earth allows all those observations. But on a globe, seeing the sun 3 hours after noon at a point higher than 45 degrees in the sky is impossible. So that's basically a short rendition of it.
Yep. And I agree with that. I mean, it makes sense to me very much so. So, like I said, Zack has an objection to that. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, it'd be great to hear this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's so good at this anyway. But again, I think it's all lost in the jargon with him. I really do. Because that seemed to make a huge difference once, we got you guys and actually put it on CAD, and then you did your drawing and all of that stuff. So it was quite a bit different. All right. So
is that? Oh shit.
What's wrong?
Oops, is John there?
Sorry. Yeah. No. I had the mute button issue. So that's on your channel? Then I'll just watch it on your channel.
Yeah, it's last week. It's called the Consundrum or something.
Okay. All right. I'll check it out.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's go ahead and get a couple news items out of the way. You guys, I bet you didn't guess that this was coming, right? Again.
Yes.
One more time, NASA delays the astronaut moon landing till 2025. I mean, it was 2024 and 2023 and 2022 and 2020. I mean, it's been every freaking year for the past 50, and they just keep delaying it. And you have to ask yourself, when are these guys going to figure this out? That it's never going to come. It's never going to happen. It can't happen.
I am not so sure about that. Of course, it's not going to happen in real life, going into the supposedly real moon, etc., etc. But it's eventually going to come a time, not so much, long in the future. I think in the next maybe 5-10 years, the computer graphics is going to allow it, especially because my last show in Spanish was about this metaverse thing, but not the metaverse in terms of the actual Facebook metaverse or Microsoft metaverse, but instead more of the omniverse, which is the equivalent of metaverse, but created by NVIDIA. And now they are integrated a lot of technology that we has been discussed and show in past episodes. And now the computer graphic is completely crazy. They are using all type of mega scans assets, which is take it from real life, and especially a lot of live shows or live streams or demos that they present to public right now in nowadays is all based on space, and they are all connected with real cameras in real life, so everything is no more, you don't need anymore the tracking problem or things like that. Everything is real time, with all the reflections, refractions, interactions with digital object. Everything is running in real time in our days. So you can imagine that in the next 10 years it's going to be crazy. And I believe that the young generations, they are getting so used to use Google Lens type of things, or VR, Oculus glasses, things like that, that they are going to believe it, because you want to see the next moon landing? Well, instead of doing in television like our grandfathers did, put on your glasses and be there with us, and people is going to believe it.
Yeah, you're probably right. And that's really sad, because again, we will get no footage from the journey there, or, because they simply cannot, if they ever panned around in open space, and viewed the constellations, they could never get that accurate, not on a journey going there.
But it doesn't matter, if we don't have space tourism, the rest is completely crap. I mean, we need to go there. I don't care if NASA is going to be there or other space agency, because after all, people, it's only to experience by a screen, by a television, cell phone, VR glasses, whatever. You never going there. So the real fact is that it doesn't matter if they use virtual reality to get the public into the VR world and trying to fake more realistic. The thing is that if they remember what happened, I don't know, with China spacecraft that supposedly land in the dark side of the moon, we're still watching a television, a screen. We don't have the experience. We cannot go there physically. The space tourism is just a space craft that go vertically and down vertically again to the ground. So that's the thing. I mean, they can fake it whatever they want. See religion, 2,000 years convincing people that there is a guy under, above the clouds and under the ground. That's not the problem. The problem is that we never can go there until we cannot get into space and go supposedly up there. I am not going to believe anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, and it's always a different. Now they're blaming Jeff Bezos and, contracts that, one agency is getting that others aren't. Before that, it was the spacesuit delays. And before that, it was, the Artemis mission had to figure out how to stop those deadly incoming, radiation rays that would kill anybody trying to go out through them. So obviously, I guess we are to assume then that they have got that resolved. It would be nice to know what the technology is that allows them to completely stop this deadly radiation that we would require, 6 feet of lead to get through on Earth? It's incredible. You just really got to wonder about it. So I don't know. It's no surprise though. And this is just something that's just going on and going on and going on and going on. But what they do put out is stuff like this. Now, this is crazy, guys. This is called stuffin.space, right? This is one of the websites that Robert Bassano sent me. And this is nuts. Because what this is this is supposed to be every single one of the bajillion satellites that are in and around the Earth. And you can actually click on any one of these. It will show you what satellite it is, its apogee, its perigee, its inclination, its altitude, 34,662 kilometer. Yeah, my ass. I don't know what their secret decoding is, for this, but obviously, if these are in fact actually up there, then they are likely the tens of thousands that are balloons that also are up there that NASA doesn't disregard, but they don't seem to, make any correlation in the two. But isn't it amazing when you zoom into these things, they're just hardly moving at all. And these things are supposed to be moving at fantastic speeds. Now, granted, yes, I understand that they're supposed to be, covering a lot of area. But I don't think that these things are running, 17, 18,000 plus miles per hour. I just don't think that at all. And, I've played with this thing a lot, and none of these things look like they're going that fast. They do look like they would be something closer to a balloon. I'm not saying that they are balloon speed, but I'm not even sure if it's even real, to be honest with you. But I mean, look at this. Look at the United States. This is really cool, right? It's really cool. And you can single out any app you want to, and you can track it and all that stuff. But it's just, it just seems like they're not moving much faster than balloons. So I don't know. Have any of you seen this before? This is crazy.
Yes. That this is an old web page, or at least with a couple of years. I remember enter to this thing because it was an old media article that they use this as space debris and space stuff, of course, to, a lot of these supposedly are not working. So this is trash in space, very dangerous for astronauts and other, the ISS. So the article that I read, it was based on the, this idea we need to invest more money and create a spacecraft to go up there and take out the trash that we don't use anymore and bring it back into the Earth or let it burn into the atmosphere entrance, because we need to clean up the space, the near area of our planet Earth, Mother Earth, because blah blah blah. And I enter and see this crazy thing. Is insane.
Look at these things changing directions and everything. They come towards each other and they veer away and go the other direction. What the hell satellite does that?
Disney?
No doubt. I'm sitting there, I can't believe
Pixar
this.
satellite. Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
So when I see this, just a thought comes into my mind that I remember, I still have in my hard drive, when SpaceX launched, I don't know exactly what mission, but it was like 3 years ago. Someone launch a stratospheric balloon and film the launch from SpaceX sending any supposedly satellite up in the space. But unfortunately, the video that they release, it's only 2 minutes and a half. But something that maybe, nobody, that we have flat earthers living near to SpaceX or Kennedy Space Center launch station, launch in terms of the rockets. But it will be nice if someone can do something like that, to see really how the rocket get into the ocean once it reach the apogee and all the stuff that they said. It's not related with satellite, but it just came to my mind and I want to share with the audience.
Excellent. Okay.
So wouldn't each of those satellites require a space shuttle launch to put it into orbit? I mean, how many of them are there? There must be thousands of them. Have there actually been that many launches? I mean,
well, no, but to be fair, with like the microsats, supposedly they launch 15, 20 at a time sometimes.
Several of them yeah.
But that's only been as of late, over the last year or so with the microsats. And of course, you see Elon's, his satellites, the Starlinks. Like here's one of the Starlinks right here that's cruising across here. And they have the Starlinks all over the place. And of course, now they are no longer following each other in a train. They're widely dispersed all over the place. But, it's pretty, here's another Starlink over here. It's pretty clear these are balloons. I mean, they don't propagate like a satellite. And it's just, it would be ridiculous to have this many in proximity for what? For what purpose? Especially when 99.9% of all data takes place undersea cables, right? So what traffic are they routing through here? What is worth the trillions of dollars of hardware that we've got up there in space?
And remember that Arthur C. Clarke, when he proposed the idea of covering, have this big coverage of data into our supposedly spherical Earth, he claimed that with only 3 satellites, we can cover all the spherical Earth in totality. But I assume that they start, deviating from that, primogeneous idea because they see all the money and all the other businesses behind it. And now we have our Earth filled with points in the sky.
Yep. So Robert Bassano says there are a crap load of objects just in LEO. There's no way in hell that all these devices have collision detection and avoid check on board, especially with milsats changing direction constantly. The only way that direction can change like that is through wind vector changes. That is absolutely right. And of course, what he means by that is they have the tethering, and they actually charge that long tether, just like the spider does, right? With his silk. They charge the tether. It takes them up and down into the different layers that are going in opposite directions, especially in the outward areas of the, Antarctica, where Antarctica would be, right? In the outer areas of the flat Earth. And it's absolutely insane. None of these are acting like, there's no way that they can do this. And, they cannot track them all. They certainly have never launched this many satellites. And, and it's not all satellites, guys. Some of it is space junk, right? I don't know. Let's see. You have to actually go on each one of these and click on it, and it tells you what it is. But
well, no, but the problem with the space junk is that supposedly all satellites became, deactivated, and they consider that as a space junk. But in itself, the object is still a satellite without any function at all. So that is they call space junk. But there is a satellite up there. In fact, how many of these satellites has propulsion to stay up there, running and working? Science 30 years ago, something like that. You can find even Sputnik here. That's supposedly still well, Sputnik, I believe they retired like 2 years ago. They make something to create the story that it's not working anymore. But I mean, how many of these point has thrust to do something? I don't know.
Exactly. And you know what else is amazing about this? is you have, like, we're looking at the United States right now, right? But these satellites are out there as far as like 23,000 miles. You have the close ones in like up at 250 miles, and a lot of them are out at 23,000 miles. So obviously you can zoom way back because you have to be able to get all of these little satellites that are way out here in the scope of this, right? Way, 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 way out here. Telstar 4, blah, 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 right? But when you look at this, it's still, the scaling is still all wrong. Look how big the United States is. You cannot say that's because, well, it's because it's taken from up close and that's why it looks so big. It's like, no, it's just wrong, period. How can people not see this?
So did you guys see what happened with Russia supposedly exploding a satellite?
Yeah, I heard about it, but what failed?
Well, no, they sent supposedly a missile up to destroy it just to check if they could, supposedly. But the funny part of the story is that it says that the thing shattered into a bunch of pieces, of course, but they're tracking all of them. And you read what they say they can track, and they say anything bigger than 4 inches, they can track. So now picture what 6 inches looks like, or 8 inches, or 12 inches, and picture that being tracked. It's a piece of debris flying in space, and somebody's tracking it. It's just ludicrous.
Man, let me
ludicrous speed.
Tell you something. It was like 2 years ago article that supposedly an observatory in Canarias in Spain can observe objects in the space going around 20,007 kilometers per hour at the size of a screw.
Yeah, I believe
and they have a laser to point the screw at that distance, at that speed, and sending like with the laser, send some photons and change direction. And there is like complete article. But what you're talking about this satellite being shattered by the rocket, the bottom line of that news it's the Blue Beam project. It's weaponize the space and start calling in the near future, maybe the war in space, and we need to put more guns in the space, and we know what it's gonna be the last car.
Yeah. Yeah.
The alien invasion car, right?
Yep. So Robert says, here's something interesting to think about. When you zoom way out and you flatten out the globe, they could be telling you how big the Earth really is. Well, maybe. This is just so completely unbelievable. Oh, and that's interesting. We have that big hole on the top that none of the satellites seem to go over. It kind of fills in a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting. It's fun to play with. And he sent me a bunch more. I think one of them you can actually log in, but I don't have login credentials. Maybe I can just create some or something like that. But I'll put this in the show notes so people can kind of play with it. But I'm sorry, but we never see this type of stuff. They want us to believe that we can look up in the sky and see all of these satellites with like little infrared. And granted, if you look through an infrared scope on a really dark night, you see a lot of crazy shit moving around up there. There's no doubt about it, but nothing to this extent, not even close to this many things, going around in all different directions. And of course, they also want you to believe that you can see the ISS at 230 miles up, which is, the size of a 747. And of course, its angular size alone would preclude you from even seeing that. And, as I did in my presentation several months ago, they are counting on that reflection, first of all, coming up and getting past the Earth itself somehow, and hitting the angle on those solar collectors and the rest of the fuselage, the body of the ISS, and somehow reflecting it perfectly down into your eye while it makes anywhere from a 2,000 to 3,000 mile trek across your sky. And in that whole time, you never lose vision of it. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's like somehow it's always got the light shining on it, even though the whole planet is blocking it from the light source. It's just unbelievable. People, why can you not think? Globers, why can not you think critically? What is wrong with you? Seriously. Unbelievable. Sorry, I'm getting my horse here. All right, so let's get past that. Any other comments on this, guys?
Yes, it's a perfect gift for your child. If you want to play this Christmas, you can send it this URL.
It looks like the Earth needs a PCR test or something, bro.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Hey, Austin, how you doing?
What up? What up?
Oh, not too much. Where are you at these days?
Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach. All right. Gonna be hanging out there for a while?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Cool. That sounds good. Yeah, it's beautiful down there in Daytona Beach. Is it getting cold there yet?
No, I wouldn't say cold, like 70s, you know. So it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, 70s is actually nice. I like it when it's like mid 70s. That's like perfect for me. So there you have it. So okay.
So, wait, on this little thing right here. So they're saying you can't click on all these dots. There are just certain green ones within it that you can click on or something.
No, you can click on all of them actually. Whoops, hang on a second. So you can click on virtually any one of them. Starlink, Lemur, and then it comes up over here. Here, I'll let me drop this in the chat for you.
I'm just curious, as these ones that are super far away, like I'm just curious as to what they would say is going on back there. It would be so hard to maintain consistency of any type of trajectory back there in their little world that they say is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I think it would just be interesting to look at all the ones at a great distance.
Yeah, and they're
right,
like
because
way out there.
Because the Earth's supposedly in motion, right? So at some points during its trajectory, it would be racing, against the Earth in the same direction as the Earth supposedly is in motion. And then at other times, they'd be traveling in opposite directions. And it brings up all sorts of problems with, what is the motive power of these things? And of course, they claim it is just strictly the sort of dumb force of gravity. But if you think about it and try to model this sort of relationship out between the Earth and the satellite while the Earth's in motion, it brings up a lot of problems that they don't even attempt to answer. They just pretend like everything's stationary and that's fine. But
yeah, they sprinkle magic fairy dust on the satellites that allow them to update infinite vectors constantly.
Yeah, it is truly amazing, isn't it? And in all this, we've never gotten a freaking picture, not one single picture of anything out there in space, ever. It's unbelievable.
It's just insane that they claim. I think the top of that article says, maybe second paragraph down or so says there that, it created a certain 1,500 pieces of trackable orbital debris. So imagine they launched a missile, it blows up a satellite, and they're trying to tell you that now they can track the debris that it created.
Yeah,
I believe it,
and simultaneously compute all the vectors with every other piece of crap up there that it could hit.
Rudder can do it right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So are they admitting that it's still very irresponsibly dangerous for them to have just blown something up and not be able to track debris less than 4 inches, which supposedly would be catastrophic still?
Yeah, imagine a 3-inch something flying and hitting your craft at 40,000 miles per hour. It's going to destroy anything. Put a hole right through it.
Russia's so out of pocket. That's like their official narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but hey, no, they know their fanboys are going to buy it 100%. So,
they can just send NASA up there and plug the hole with their finger, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's another good one.
So wait, sorry. Last question about the Russia thing. Like, I'm just so confused. They're actually absorbing this. So, like, how many pieces are they tracking? Is it a lot? 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Russia's crushing, bro.
You just put it in the computer, and it just keeps track of everything, exactly where it is.
Going at tens of thousands of miles an hour in a single direction, which means that they've got to be tracking it out for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, right?
The problem is it was a trap by the gravitational pull of the Earth, or it's going to go and trying to impact the Elon Musk car or other.
Yeah, I would imagine that Tesla's in trouble by now. Of course,
Completely.
they totally missed. Yeah, they totally missed Mars. So
It could be, in maybe in 1 month it's gonna be a new news about like Elon Musk car lost his track because the debris from the satellite that the Russian destroyed impact the car and we lost the car.
Yeah, and the other
So
thing
what was
we
their
should
objective? To just like crash the convertible into Mars? I don't.
Oh, the car. Well, now they were going to send it, in that direction, and I think it was supposed to actually enter an orbital trajectory, but they blew one of the calculations and said that now it's just going to go off wandering aimlessly through space.
That's convenient.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because, otherwise when Musk got there in, 20 years or whenever he decides to go there, he could drive his Tesla around, just bringing in from outer space. Unbelievable.
I'm just thinking that also seems super irresponsible, right? Like if you're one of the people that think that this whole space travel thing is real, the stuff they're doing out here is wild. They're wild out here. Let's just throw a convertible out in space and hopefully we'll get there just right, that we'll get into orbit into Mars. Maybe not. Maybe it runs into Mars or burns up, but we're going to try it. Like, let's blow something up with tons of debris flying around in different vectors while people are going thousands of miles per hour around it and all these other different vectors.
Yeah, well,
it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It really is. And apparently, they're getting criticism for it. He says, like Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, I'm outraged by this irresponsible and destabilizing action. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said in the statement, with its long and storied history in human space flight, it is unthinkable that Russia would endanger not only the American and international partner astronauts on the ISS, but their own cosmonauts. The debris, he added, also threatens China's space station. But it's all make-believe anyway. And what else didn't happen is there was I didn't see any footage from anywhere in the world popping up on YouTube saying, oh, look at all this debris coming from Russia blowing up their satellite and it burning up the pieces, coming into the atmosphere. You would see something like that. It would look like a little meteor shower, but no, nothing like that. So they never think it through. And it's always just, these things happen by the greatest of miraculous, incursions. It's unbelievable. So, all right.
That would be live streamed for the world to see, all that debris just falling down.
Yeah.
It would be live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. And there's the great Sinan conundrum. So, but yeah. So anyway, thanks, Robert, for this. It's really cool. I'm going to be checking it out and watch the movie Gravity. Same thing. Yeah. I remember that. If you guys remember the movie Gravity, when they're out there doing a spacewalk, and all of a sudden they call them and say, oh, abort your mission, get out of there quick. And, the exact same thing happened. Something got blown up. I think it was Russia doing that exact type of thing. And it came and it destroyed the ISS. It destroyed the shuttle and all this stuff. Right. So, it's kind of like life imitating theater or theater imitating life or whatever it is. I'm not sure which is which these days, but yeah, pretty unbelievable. All right. So let's see. All right. So this next thing, this is kind of cool. I wanted to play this for you guys because this is crazy. This little orbital thing that they're talking about. And, when I was looking at this and think about what it would be like if you jumped off the International Space Station or anything like that, and where your gravity vector would be pulling. And I was reading some articles on this this week, and it's like none of it makes any sense because you'd be affected by all these different gravity vectors that are going on up there. And so these people made this cartoon to try and explain this, to clear it all up. But unfortunately, to make it work, you have to have Tony Stark technology. So, thank God that we have Tony Stark technology, but I'm going to play this really quick and see what you guys think of it. Here we go.
Most skydivers jump off a plane flying 3.8 kilometers above the ground. But imagine jumping off something even higher, like the International Space Station. Unless you have a supersuit like Tony Stark, it's not gonna end well. But let's pretend Iron Man lends you one. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, jump! Wait, what? That's right, you won't fall straight down. In fact, it'll take you at least 2.5 years before you reach the surface. So what's going on?
2.5 years to reach the surface. Now, obviously, they're counting on the fact that you are going to be drifting along with your inertia. And even though we're obviously still up there in Earth's atmosphere because it goes all the way to the moon, right? That's what they've told us. It doesn't seem to affect anything, and it's still going to hold things up there to 2.5 years before you even start getting into a position where you will be apt to burn up, when you re-enter the atmosphere. So let's continue.
Height isn't the main reason your fall takes so long. In fact, if you fell like a normal skydiver, it would only take you about 2 hours. But the thing is, you don't fall straight down. You fall into orbit. The reason is speed. You see, the ISS might be called a station, but it's hardly stationary. It's actually moving 12 times faster than a jet fighter. If you shot anything at that speed on Earth, by the time it was about to hit the ground, it would miss. In the same way, the ISS isn't floating in space, it's falling towards Earth and missing. And when you jump off the ISS, you're initially moving at the same speed, so you end up in orbit too, at least for a while. Now, even though it's so high up, the ISS is pushing through a very thin atmosphere, so that friction against the atmosphere slows it down. So the station fires engines to maintain speed and keep from crashing into the Earth.
Okay, great. That's all fine and dandy, but again, there's something that they seem to have completely forgotten about in this little equation, right? It's like, if the Earth, if the ISS is following around the Earth, that's great. Okay, whatever. And it's following around it at the rate of 17,500 miles per hour, right? But that would insinuate that they are falling around a stationary Earth, and they're not. They are falling around an Earth that is allegedly traveling 67,000 miles an hour in orbit around the sun, which of course is traveling at a 400,000 miles an hour around the Milky Way, which in fact is in orbit around the Great Attractor of 1.2 million miles per hour. So what I'm saying is Tony Stark's suit or not, you're going to get left in the dust, right? You're going to get left in the dust because you are not part of the inertia or gravitational mass of all of that to be able to be drug around all over the place, right? Am I seeing this wrong, guys? Do you agree with this?
No, you're absolutely right. According to their system, so like the only thing that's harnessing the Earth to the sun is the mass of the Earth and the gravitational relationship between the two. And so the ISS isn't attached to the Earth. You certainly wouldn't be attached to the Earth. So no, there would be nothing harnessing you to the solar frame of reference. And so, yeah, I agree. You would be left sort of in the proverbial dust by the frame of reference of the sun, because it's supposedly moving around a curved path, not a straight line path. So that momentum that you have initially isn't going to be kept up. You're not going to keep up with the solar frame of reference because, again, the only thing that's attaching the Earth to the sun is that gravitational relationship, which you don't have anymore. So, of course, it's all a bunch of bullshit, but
exactly.
Hey.
So the major point of gravitational influence for Mr. Tony Stark here is going to be the Earth itself. So, essentially he's going to get, he's just going to fall down to the Earth. And there's no reason that he would be drug along in that gravitational pull, in multiple different directions. And guys, you have to remember, these are not linear directions. They are all curvilinear. They are all turning. So, it's just like, they will want you to believe that if you are going in a straight line, and this is true, by the way, if you're going in a straight line, and you're going forward and you're not turning at all, then you really wouldn't even notice that you're going forward. But if you are taking a curved path, right? So imagine yourself sitting in the ground in a car and you're driving around in circles. You just have your steering wheel turned a quarter turn to the left or to the right, and you accelerate. You're constantly going to be feeling that acceleration, right? Why? Because you are always, always, always turning. So you are always going through a state of acceleration. And yet we never feel anything, any part of that. And anything that would separate from this would be instantly left behind by the multiple motions. It just doesn't carry all of this stuff along with you, like they want you to believe that it does. That doesn't happen. They never address that issue. And in fact, they can't even tell you what happens with a three-body problem, as we've talked many, many times before. So it cracks me up that they come up with these really stupid, thought experiments that make absolutely no sense at all. And they have to bring Tony Stark into it to, make it seem like it's real.
Bob, I had a question about why can't you go infinite speed in space?
Why can't you go infinite speed?
Yeah. So if you just started taking off towards Mars and you just kept hitting your thrusters, wouldn't you just increase your speed, increase it? Why is there some sort of speed limit?
Well, theoretically, unless there's a gravitational pull on it, which would be supposedly increasing at an exponential rate, you would hit basically a point of equilibrium, right? Where your thrust is at maximum, for that velocity. So in other words, your maximum thrust is going to be being offset by the small amount of material that would be in space, very, very small. But
I would say not to mention, though, that rocket propulsion shouldn't work in a vacuum anyway.
It wouldn't.
Besides that.
Whatever.
Semantics.
Right, but it's only, remember, even outer space is only 10 to the negative 17th story. It is not a perfect vacuum, because in a perfect vacuum, theoretically, there would be nothing but the ether there, right? And so there would be nothing theoretically to slow you down in any way, shape, or form. But, according to these guys, that 10 to the 17th is plenty to keep things going forever. So, and again, you have to wonder, a gravitational source like the sun, if you get something going towards the sun, right? Like Halley's Comet, and we've discussed this several times before. It goes out and in 75, 77 years, whatever it is, comes back, and it always just misses the sun instead of being drawn directly into it. And then it goes around the backside and shoots out and goes out, for another 75, 77 years. It's like, why does it do that? And what exactly is it that is stopping it from being drawn into the center of the sun? And it would absolutely be drawn to that center of that gravitational mass, because you can't tell me that the inertia that it has from being the entire distance of the solar system, or a couple billion miles away, is going to stop it from coming into the direct center of the mass, which is where the gravitational influence is going to be the most, right? It can't happen. So their whole theory on that is complete nonsense, and people, they don't just think this through at all. And of course, I can just hear all the ball earthers out there saying, "Oh, you flat earthers, you're so dumb. I could explain it in 2 seconds." Like, really? I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear that. And you may even be able to come up with some crazy mathematical expression for it. But you know what? In the real world, there's no way that it's going to work. Because, if the sun truly has this fantastic gravitational field, honestly, we should all be, getting things sucked into it as we move through space. As we move through the billions of miles of space every year, the sun should be taking in just an unbelievable amount of celestial objects, right? But no, it doesn't do that, because space is so vast. So ridiculous. Let's continue.
But sadly, your supersuit doesn't come with engines strapped to your feet. This has two consequences. First, it means you can't maneuver and have to hope that any of those 13,000 chunks of space debris don't impale you. Second, without rockets to maintain your speed, it'll slow you down and spiral toward Earth. But it won't be quick. The Chinese space station Tiangong-1, for example, took about 2 years to fall out of orbit. On the ISS, you're higher up, so you'll take roughly 2.5 years. But once you strike the atmosphere, your long wait is over, and it's go time. As you re-enter...
Actually, I think it's more like stop time. But, it's so ridiculous that they've got, they have such a delineated line, that's there. Well, this is when it's all over. You hit that atmosphere wherever the hell it is, which they don't even really know where it is, right? Is it at 62 miles? Is it 100 miles? Is it 1,000? Where is it? We don't even know. Where does the atmosphere technically disconnect from the Earth? Or does it actually go out all the way to the moon? And if so that means that the moon is caught in the atmosphere. They just keep changing the story, changing the narrative constantly, and it never makes any sense. Why do you globe Earth believers buy this stuff? It makes no sense whatsoever. And think about this also. If you are following something in the formula for, gravity, or actually the rate of acceleration is 9.8 meters per second squared, at least on Earth, right? Who knows what it would be? It would be one hell of a lot more than that, for an object approaching the sun, right? So it would seem to me that as you get closer and closer and closer to the sun, that your speed is going to increase and increase and increase and increase. And it's like, at what point, are you able to veer off and miss the sun? And how can you possibly overcome this fantastic gravitational influence that, that once you're on top of it, that you could possibly overpower it, right? It's so stupid. My God, I can't believe that people cannot see this. So let's continue.
You have one goal: slow down. You're traveling at hypersonic speeds. So if you deployed a parachute now, it'll shred to pieces. And that's not the only problem. Falling through the atmosphere at such breakneck speeds generates at least 8 Gs of force. That's 8 times the gravity you feel at sea level. And if you're falling feet first, that'll push the blood away from your brain and toward your feet. So you'll probably pass out. Unless you're one of those fighter pilots who train to withstand up to 5 Gs. Now, if you don't pass out, you may worry about the freezing...
So going through 8 Gs, you're not going to survive that unless you're a fighter pilot that's been trained to go through 5 Gs. Then you're going to survive the 8 Gs? Hello? Did she really just say that? Unbelievable.
Temperatures up here. But it turns out your suit's more likely to melt than freeze. You know how you could warm your hands by rubbing them together? Now imagine your supersuit rubbing against air molecules in the atmosphere at least 6 times the speed of sound. You'll heat up to about 1,650 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, but the question is where does that happen? Where does it happen? How low? And when, where is that delineation point? We don't know. NASA has no answer for that. We have never gotten an answer where that bifurcation point is. They just say, well, this is what happens all of a sudden out of nowhere. We don't know exactly where it happens, but yet they would have to have it computed, right? Because otherwise, how would they be able to do these reentries and reentry burns and all this stuff? But they never tell you exactly where the cohesion is lost between the atmosphere that is rotating with the Earth and the atmosphere that is not.
Hot enough to melt iron. In fact, the heat is so intense, it strips electrons from their atoms, forming a pink plasma around you that will ultimately destroy your suit. If that's not enough of a problem, the drag will rip off your limbs. But thankfully, Tony Stark has your back, and somehow your supersuit holds, with you intact. At 41 kilometers up, you've now reached the world record for highest skydive. In 2014, Alan Eustace wore a pressurized spacesuit as he rode a balloon up to this height. He broke the sound barrier on his way down before deploying his parachute and landed about 15 minutes after the drop. But you'll be falling much faster than Eustace, about 3 times the speed of sound. So in reality, you're not going to slow down enough to safely deploy your chute. That's where Iron Man can help us one last time. By 1 kilometer up, you've reached the territory of ordinary skydivers who don't need fancy suits to survive. At this point, your parachute can do what it does best. And it's finally time to land softly. Whew, what a ride.
What a load of bullshit. What would we do without Tony Stark, guys? I mean, wow. They took the wrong guy. They took Captain Kirk instead of Tony Stark. Unbelievable. So anyway, I thought you would enjoy this because this is the kind of things where, science fiction and science are definitely merged. And I would say the greater part of it is science fiction. All of this stuff is taken from, novels that were written, 100 years ago or better, right? Jules Verne, things like that. And it just seems like it's so amazing that our scientific achievements and, things that we've actually developed just happen to go right along with the things that we've been written about in science fiction novels. It's absolutely amazing. So I don't know. It's sad that people are unable to see the difference between reality, or even they've lost the ability for any type of critical thinking to be able to, seriously and critically think about stuff like this and what could possibly happen. But instead, they will believe the most fantastical stories ever told, right? Because it stimulates the imagination. And that is NASA's job, after all, right? To take your imagination. That's the only thing going to space. And they do a good job of it. So there you have it. All right, guys. Well, enough of that. Let's move on. Boy, you guys aren't being very talkative today. Is everybody like half asleep or what?
No, I just think that video is super laughable, man. I was laughing on mute the whole time. I think it's ridiculous, but obviously, if you have a super magical suit, and then you don't train for this amount of G's, then you can survive it. We think. What was the first time they just hoped people made it?
Yeah, I know it's super insane, but that's what we have. All right. So I found this one. Actually, I'll show you this one really quick. This is, an explosion, right, that took place. And it's really weird because it kind of shows a comparison between amateur footage and professional SpaceX footage on the same rocket launch that actually crashed. And it's really weird what we see here. And hat tip to a channel called Spaceful that discovered this. So I want to go ahead and play this and then get your commentary on it. And back it up just a little bit here. So, and see what you guys think. Here we go. Oops. Probably don't need all the volume. So yeah, that to me just does not look like anything falling. And why is it so perfectly balanced? And you have just this little bit of smoke and steam and stuff coming off of it. This looks absolutely completely fake. And if this doesn't look fake enough, I got some little piece of debris flying off there. Amazing camera work on this.
When was this?
This was the this is one of the SpaceX crashes. That's okay. Let me go back to it. So watch this. So it's interesting that we have this. So this is all SpaceX footage that we're seeing here. And then what he's going to do is he's going to compare it with some amateur footage, right? So we see some really weird things that are happening in this, where like another piece of the rocket pops up and all kinds of other weird stuff. And so we're going to see now an amateur footage that was shot from a slightly different angle and this professional so-called footage again. So here they are all synced up. So you can see there's slight different in angle. They look pretty close to the same now. You're going to see like part of the rocket emerge off the top of the SpaceX. This is obviously a CGI glitch, and we'll get a good shot of that in a minute. Right? So we are not seeing this over here. This rocket, this appears to be part of the rocket up here, right? And you are not seeing this over here at all, not in any way, shape, or form. Not sure what this bright green stuff is over here. And then we're going to see some other interesting manifestations as well. And we got what looks like a Satan face there. That's kind of weird. They do that a lot, though. We saw that in the World Trade Centers when they came down. We saw Devil's face in those and all kinds of explosions. They seem to really like to do that a lot. So the question is then, if this is the SpaceX footage and this is amateur footage, and we're seeing this very distinct difference in the SpaceX footage, then is this some sort of a composite of CGI and real time merged together?
The rocket that's standing erect there, where is that in the amateur footage? I don't see it anywhere.
It's actually off screen.
Of course.
See, in other words, this right here is this right here.
Uh-huh.
And then,
right. So where's the rocket? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like where is it? and like I don't know. So there's water in the amateur footage. I guess it's a different angle, but where's the water?
Yeah. No, the water is because the guy is like 20 kilometers away. You have water, but you need to get the camera of a SpaceX and going back, and you're gonna see the water.
Yeah, so it's a different angle. Yeah,
the complete different angle, different distance. Much quality, of course, in the amateur footage. I see this video like 1 hour ago, something like that, and I see the difference, of course. But for me, the key here is that rocket, exploding or not? For me, yes, it's exploding. Is the rocket falling down from the sky? For me, yes, it's falling down from the sky. And the rest of this footage is not relevant for me to good sleep this night. But it's quite strange that SpaceX has that shitty definition in their video,
Yeah, exactly. It is amazing the way that these things get put in there. And, we see a lot of differences in amateur footage and the, so-called professional footage. And it's just, it makes you wonder. But I just thought I would bring this up and see what you guys thought of it. I thought it was kind of interesting that it had those changes. Overall, it is not conclusive of anything. But, it's just one of those other things that, throw it on the anomaly pile that doesn't make a lot of sense. So there you have it. All right. So I guess next thing I want to talk about, guys, is, and then we'll probably go down and go into the main presentation afterwards and go over to Rockfin primarily. But, I have to tell you guys, I have been watching the Flat Earth community and what's been going on in it over the last, several weeks, couple of months, and it really depresses me. It really does. Because all we see is hit pieces. Somebody is exposing Russian vids, and his real name, and somebody's exposing, here we have a Plain Truth exposing him, and then we get Plain Truth or Flathead Politics is now exposing Karen B, and Flathead Politics is exposing Karen B and DITRH and Jeranism, and here's another one on Russian vids by Plain Truth. And then we have another one, Flat Earth Fokker and Rob Skiba are exposed by Jake the Asshole. And then we have Jake the Asshole exposing Eric Dubé, trans agent of Satan, right? And then we have Jeranism and DITRH Baby Truther Show exposed. But
nobody exposed me. That's something good.
Now you haven't been exposed since what's her name? The redhead chick.
Okay.
which is kind of silly. And then we have another one here, DITRH and Globebusters, Lying Psychos, David Weiss and Bob Nodell exposed. Oh my God, I've been exposed. And, I'm not going to go into the details on this. Of course, when we have IFERS, which has got a who's who of everybody in here, Nathan Thompson exposed, Plain Truth exposed, everybody's exposing everybody. We're all shills. Now this one here, we got Zoom Truth that's exposing Richie Comito, Richie from Boston, as a shill. We got RV Truth exposing all kinds of people. Gee, Witsit, did you know, Austin, did you know that you wrote this to Mitchell from Australia? Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw it, bro. I did not know I wrote it, though. That's crazy.
No, you didn't, because there's no wrench on it. So, and the point is,
that's so lame, bro. That dude, that guy's done that like 4 or 5 times. I guess I just have to accept it infinitely.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing. That was the only reason that I could even deny it was I said, look, Austin's had a wrench at Jeranism for a year, and there's no wrench here, right? This was taken from a Jeranism stream. And yeah, it's just bullshit that any of this goes on, right? So the point is, guys, is that it is so out of control, right? And everybody, it seems like all these guys, I don't know if they're butthurt or if they have little man syndrome or they're just jealous because one channel gets more subs than the other or anything like that. But, to me, what is happening to our community? This is ridiculous. I mean, and on such weak evidence too. Like somebody might arbitrarily make a hand sign. This is one of the reasons I don't like to go on video. I mean, I don't normally talk with my hands, so it's unlikely that would happen anyway. But God, who knows? Somebody could walk behind me and something could be misconstrued. And, it's like, oh, yeah, proof positive the Globebusters is a shill. Hell, I'm not even on camera and I'm already a shill, I'm a shill for a million different reasons. And it's like, what? All I can say is if you want to believe that, if that fits your criteria, any of these fit your criteria for, saying that these people are without a doubt shills and are here to harm the community, then, you just go on your little happy way, right? You can believe it and you do what you feel you need to do about that. But honestly, when I look at this, it looks to me like a bunch of people that are basically, trying to stand on the shoulders of somebody else and, take their place by trying to, cast dirt on somebody else, right? It's like, oh, all these guys are shills. I'm the only one that you can trust, right? Because I can expose. It doesn't matter if you can be seen or can't be seen. And honestly, I am so sick of it, guys. I mean, and I want to say something to you, and I'm not saying that I believe that any of these guys are J-Trig, but one thing I will say about this is that J-Trig, and John, you know about J-Trig, one of the J-Trigs is they are the people that basically put agents in a community, in the truth community, and they are the ones that will come in and try and break everybody up by, casting doubt, casting suspicion, all this kind of stuff, to, again, break it all up, set one leader on another, or just one person on another, or whatever. Well, obviously everybody that I've gone through on all of these are, fairly, prominent members, I would say, of the truth community or flat earth community, whatever. And it's like, and I think that most of these people got that way because they're doing good research and they're putting a lot of good information out there. But then there are other people, like I said, that, for whatever reason, they want to start this division and say, well, you're either with us or you're against us, and it's retarded because, all of us, even though we may have different ways of exposing this truth and stuff, we're all doing our part to try and expose, the real true evils of this world. And it is absolutely absurd that we are turning on each other like this. And all this is going to do, guys, is it's going to bring the community down in flames all by itself. And then what has J-Trig done? They have absolutely gotten away with exactly what they want and set everybody against everybody else, right? And again, that is the idea. So frankly, when I see people doing show calling, I immediately think that, well, that's somebody that's on a mission. It looks like they want to turn everybody against. And again, I'm not saying that that's anybody in here, but that is exactly what these guys are all acting like. And it's retarded. It is so damaging to this community. And honestly, guys, you need to really evaluate people that are doing this, especially with the ridiculous evidence that they're coming out with, and say, are these people really the kind of people that I want to follow? Is this really groundbreaking information? Is this really what I need to know to combat the New World Order and the elite? Or is this just a bunch of bullshit, that I'm certain it is? What do you guys think?
Well, it's difficult.
Well, we know, we know J-Trig's out there. I mean, it's right in the black and white. And there are government agencies out there that are funding people and groups that are put into the truth movement in order to sow dissent and to create vitriol and to create friction. And, I would just say, be careful of it, believe whatever you want to believe, but just don't get sucked into bullshit that is just government agents. That's all I'll say about it.
Okay.
Yeah, in my case, of course, there is, people in the government and then other agencies controlling the social networks, creating this type of fights. You can see that, especially in politics, it's very often that there is a special agent create that type of division. But in the other hand, in my case, I have a lot of people creating or invented all kind of this type of stories and fights, and between me and the other guy and the people that is helping me in my YouTube channel. They call shields and they trying to invent stories, and unfortunately, that is normal people that has some type of psychological disorder that maybe came from the youth, I don't know, but there is also people like that they just want to, create problems, and that is also part of the game, unfortunately. But what I just trying to at least understand is that happened because you are making noise, and that is something good, at least.
Yeah.
Noise in the, like, a good word. I don't know if the same concept in English. No, you are presenting, things that really make people think.
Right. Yeah. Making noise. You're
okay.
Standing up for the truth, essentially. So
yes,
it means the same. And Jeran?
No, I just think that people need to stand up and speak on behalf of what's right and what's not, and I don't see it enough. But whatever, I'm not telling other people what they need to do, but been disappointed. I was sick, so I didn't get a chance to see this Jake video, but just in the last few minutes, been kind of looking at it a little bit. I didn't know the whole beginning of it is him basically calling me a pedo, and if anybody's okay with that, I'm a fucking father, for goddamn sake. I will bust that guy's face over my knee the first chance I get. You don't say shit like that. I mean, what is anybody going to ask for his evidence? Is anybody going to say? You can't just say, "Oh, Jeran, because he has dancing babies on his show, means he's a pedo." Like to me, for somebody to even think that, like, "Oh, dancing babies means pedo," is a huge red flag. Like,
exactly.
Call out other. I mean, it's disgusting. So, I mean, for me, I won't even watch the rest of that video. I'll, block him as I have before. Jake's a piece of shit since he was, since day one, really. He's an asshole. That's what he calls himself. And he goes around and claims things and cries in his car and does all kinds of, whimpering. I mean, if people don't remember when he went away the first time, it was because he was a little crybaby, sack of shit in his car at night, crying that these guys fooled me into thinking that the AE map was true and it's not true. It's been debunked. And we all laughed at him, and he deserves to be laughed at. And now that I see that he's going around making these kind of accusations and just ridiculous, and I'm seeing some people in the comments too that I know these people in the comments. So, hey, go ahead. If you think you can play both sides, if you think I'm not going to boot you the second I see you in any of my chats, you're not going to let that guy call me a pedo. And this is the problem, is that you guys don't go and call him out for it. You go along with it because you guys like that kind of shit. So good. Keep liking it. And you're not going to be following me for very long. I'll tell you that much. I'll boot you as fast as I can.
Exactly. And I feel the same way. And that's another thing, guys. You need to pay attention to the people, literally the accounts that come out of the freaking woodwork from nowhere. And I mean nowhere. You look at these people, like half of these people, I have no idea who any of them are. And I look through all of these people, whenever hit pieces are going on, all these accounts that I've never seen before in the community are there. Oh yeah, that guy is a shill. I never did trust him, all this stuff. These are more J-Trig support. They're there to, to be the crowd, burn them, burn them, burn them. Let's do this. Let's take them all down. And you guys are falling for it because you're falling into the crowd mentality, right? The ridiculous crowd mentality. And these guys are too dumb to even see, well, where the hell did all these people come from? All of a sudden that they're not their normal subs. And this happens. I've seen it happen on RV's channel. I've seen it happen on every single one of these. These people are coming out of nowhere. Why? Because their job is, when people start turning on each other, it is their job to do this, right? And it is going on everywhere. It's just ridiculous. And so if you want to follow that kind of nonsense, then follow it. But otherwise, I would just, say to you that you need to really evaluate the type of information these idiots are putting out. And if you think that I've done anything that even remotely resembles what they're claiming I have that is damaging this truth movement so much, or Jeran or anybody else, then you know what? You would be a fool to follow us. Right? You would be. But hopefully your sense of discernment is a little bit better. And, when you listen to this bullshit, you'll see it for exactly what it is. And you'll see somebody like Jake here, for example, with this little, Mad Hatter hat on. I mean, this guy is clear cut. He's got little dick syndrome is what he has. I mean, he's a little bitty dude. He's like 5 foot nothing. And he's recently challenged Fight the Flat Earth to a fist fight, right? The guy's in a freaking wheelchair, right? Yeah, he's a jerk, but so that's how, Jack, I'm going to beat you up, man. And this is how he makes himself feel better. This with Thomas, Thomas, wherever his name is, this clown that he's with, they're just sitting there bashing everybody. It is so ridiculous. And I'm not saying don't listen to their stuff, because you know what? Jake has put out some great stuff, but he's also put out a bunch of shit too, as have a lot of these people. So, and I really don't know what gets into people. I really don't. But if you are stupid enough to buy into it, then fine. Buy into it, go away, leave us alone, and let the community be. And the rest of us that, consider ourselves sane will proceed forward, right? And that's basically what I want to say about this, because honestly, anybody that supports this, and yeah, everybody wants to see a big train wreck, right? Not really, not when it tears down this community, especially not in this period of time when it is so important for us to be cohesive, for us to be together. And if Jeran has a different way of presenting information than I do, great, because as I've said a million times, you never know when somebody's going to have a different approach that you're going to relate to. Jeran does that. I do that. John does it. All of us have our own special way of presenting things. And, God forbid we should ever make an okay symbol or something like that, oh my God, that means we're absolutely, satanic shills and it's just ridiculous, guys. Come on. I mean, please unsubscribe from these clowns if they do that, especially if that turns into the bulk of their work. They need to go, honestly. I'm not telling you who you can watch and who you can't watch, but I'm saying that you really do need to use a little bit of discernment, because if this is all that their channel has turned into, is bashing everybody else, then it's not doing anybody any good. Unless, of course, you believe it, then more power to you. Okay? So there you have it. Anybody else have anything on it?
I just think it's super gamma mel.
Yeah, it really is. It so is. And, this all started out with Eric Dubé. And we've said a million times, we have tried so many times to reach out to Eric and, be friends. And, of course, he's got his shill wall of shame. And, he's got hit pieces on virtually every freaking one of us. And it's just amazing how the shit literally rolls downhill. Well, in some ways, he almost deserves this, right? Even though Jake is completely way out in left field. But, it was pretty stupid, him dressing up as a woman and doing this stuff. Now, am I saying he's a shill? No, I don't think he's a shill. I just think he's an idiot sometimes and makes some bad decisions. But he is a great flat earth researcher, all right? That's the kind of stuff that you want to take and keep. And all the shill calling, you want to discard it, right? And say, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to hear that. Let them know that you don't want to hear that, because it's not productive and it is not conducive to our mission as truth seekers. It doesn't help anybody. It really doesn't. I mean, we have enough to battle, with the social media influencers without having to deal with our own community coming down and people, coming in pretending to so innocently ask, oh, well, what do you guys think about such and such? I heard he was a shill and I heard this. It's like, if I see people like that asking questions like that in my chat, you're gone. I don't want to even hear or see that stuff. And I will enforce that in any chat that I'm a moderator in. You're not going to come in and stir up shit. That's why I don't allow trolls here. You have a zero tolerance of trolls. And this is exactly why. It's bad enough. Okay? So, all right. Well, that's all I have to say about that. It just pisses me off. All right. So let's, what are we at? We're 4:34. Okay, so we're an hour and a half in. I want to go into the main presentation of all the proofs, except we are going to be taking that over to the Rockfin side. Guys, if you can join us on Rockfin, that's great. It's a great deal. We've got a ton of content producers over there. Or if you think that anybody that makes, a little bit of money off of all their efforts is a shill and doesn't deserve it, well, that's fine. You don't have to pay for that. You don't have to do anything like that. Of course, we'll still be here on Wednesdays and, when we do shows on Wednesdays. But I'm just saying that it helps all of us out. You get not only Globebusters, you get Jeranism, you get a whole host of other flat earthers and truthers across the Rockfin spectrum. And it's really turning in. It's got some growing pains that we have to deal with, but we're getting there, right? And the best thing is we can actually practice free speech there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the YouTube feed for now. And if you can, join us over on Rockfin Mods. If you would spam the Rockfin link to this in there, we'd love to see you over there. And we'll see you then, okay? So we will see you later, YouTube. And thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye. Alrighty then.